Click the bell icon to get latest videos from Ekeeda.
Hello friends, today we are going to discuss about how sockets are used in client-server communication, how it can be implemented in a TCP/IP protocol or a UDP or connectionless protocol, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of using sockets in a client-server program. A socket is defined as an endpoint for communication between two processes. When two processes are communicating over a network, then it employs dozens of sockets or a pair of sockets each for each processes. Now the sockets are included an IP address concatenated with a port number. This port number can be identified by the socket number, which is an unique integer given to the socket. This port number can be any number between 1 to 1024, and the user sockets can be any arbitrary number greater than 1024. The socket is used in a client-server architecture. The server awaits for a client to request for a connection using that port. Now, when the client is requesting for the connection and the connection is accepted by the server, then it listens to the particular port identified by the port number to service that request for the client. Now, this client-server architecture can be done using the sockets, which are given port numbers anywhere between 0 to 1024, well-known port. These well-known ports can be specified to give specific services by the server. When a client requests a connection to get serviced by a server with a port number any arbitrary greater than 1024 and an integer, then a client on host X is want to get addressed and connected to a web server or a web program. Suppose the host X has an IP address of 136.2.0.30 and the same web server with a port number 80 is given an IP address of 146.5.3.9. Now the host X is given a unique identification port number for that client and server. That port number be 1625. Now the socket has a pair of host addresses, which is 136.9.2.1 is to 1625, that is a host IP address, along with 146.9.25.1.80. 80 is the port number of the web program. Now the socket has a pair of IP addresses along with their port number. Now every time two processes want to communicate over sockets, these connections must be unique and the sockets must have a unique pair every time. Now the processes on the same host can access connection with the same web server with the many other different sockets. It can be possible because the socket has a unique pair for every two processes that are communicating with each other. The packets traveling between the host can be delivered to the appropriate process by getting the exact destination port number. Now, this can be done using three different scenarios. One is the TCP, that is a connection-oriented protocol socket using the socket class. One is the UDP, that is a connection-less socket class, which is using the socket multiple class. The multiple cast socket class is a version of the multi-socket class, which is used for sending multiple recipient clients to. Now we will see that a dead server using a connection-oriented TCP socket class but using a datagram socket class of an UDP uses to communicate with the client and send the date, current information and time to the client by the remote procedure call or the sockets. First, the server creates a server socket class, then it started listening to the request to the connecting port number, say 6013, which is any arbitrary number. Now it waits for a request from the client with the accept method. Now what is waiting for the client to get request for a connection, it blocks the accept call on that. And after a connection request is received, the accept call returns a possible socket class via which the communication can be made between the client and the server. While the accepting the information about the connection, the actual message passing can be done. The print writer object is first established by the server, then the print and println functions can be made out of this print route object to get message to the client information about the date and time of the current object. Once it has written the data to the socket, then it closes the socket for that particular client and again listening to the port number for while requesting information about the connection from any other client. Now we'll see with the help of a program that how the server is requesting for a connection within a date server. Here first, we are creating an instance of the server socket class sock, which is listening to a port number 6013 with the server socket class new function. Here, the while true statement is defining that the server is listening for the clients according to the port number. Hence, it is creating a socket class instance of client, which is then accepting the function with accept the information about the connection. Here, we are creating an instance Pout of the object printWriter. Now we are creating this printWriter object while that it can get outstream the messages the client, the date server current of requesting the current. Here, we are using the println function of the Pout object that the current date and time is displayed to the terminal. Using the java.util.date, we are fetching the current date and time, and toString function is used to display the date, current date and time to a string function. Now after it has written to the socket, now it closes the socket for this client. Now using the close function of the client object, it is actually closing the socket for that particular client and again resuming the operation of listening for requests from the clients. That is for the server part. Now as for the client is concerned, it is creating a socket of the client class and then requesting a connection for getting the info and listening to the port by connecting to that server. According to the port number that we have mentioned 6013, the client wants to get connected and get the info about the current date and time from the server. Now here, the client is connecting to a server with an IP address 127.0.0.1. Now this 127.0.0.1 is a special type of IP address known as loopback. When a host or a computer is using this IP address, that means that it is referencing back to itself only. In this way, the client and server on the same host can communicate with each other very easily. Now any IP address other than 127.0.0.1 can be used there according to get used an other host other than same host client server program. And other than the IP address, the actual name like www.getalk.org can be used as a place of IP address in order to communicate the client and the server. So now we will see that how a client port is dealt with the client-server communication via socket. First, we are creating an instance sock of the class socket to get to the 127.0.0.1 IP address along with the port number 6013. After that, we will get the input stream reader and output stream reader for which the client current date and server can be displayed to the client program. Here we are creating an input stream and a buffered reader to get use of the input and output stream. Now we will create a string line to get to the client program about the current date and server. Now the line is reading all the data elements that the server has put on the sockets using this bean.readLine command, and until and unless it is null, all the results are displaying using the system.out.println command. Now after that, the client has completed displaying the current date and time about the date server, then it should close the socket it is made for connection to the particular port number 6013. So in this way, socket can be used in a client-server programmation. Now, along with the socket is a client-server program. It can be efficient and easy, but it is considered to be a low-level communication program while it is used in a distributed system. Because the client-server communication, while communicating, can produce only an unstructured stream of bytes to the messages. Now the socket has to produce an external data structure to maintain that unstructured data byte of stream. This can be configured including the RPC and the pipelining system of client-server program. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned with Ekeeda and subscribe to Ekeeda.